In November of this year, the International Herald Tribune will be held in Rome, Italy, and the topic of discussion is Africa's Promise. Africa's Promise will be heard and represented by none other than its most passionate advocate, Dr. Precious Moloi-Motsepe. She happens to be the Executive Chairman of African Fashion International. Dr. Precious, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we are at African Fashion International, of course, Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, and it's really exciting, it's really big. But this whole thing about Africa's Promise, it sounds really exciting. What is that all about?
It is very exciting, and I think as African Fashion International, we are really well positioned to take, as we say, African fashion to the world. What the global fashion market and consumers are realizing is that there is a potential on the continent, purely because we have a rising middle class. We are increasing in numbers in terms of our population. So we are a big market for those international brands that want to come onto the continent. And it is fantastic that they can come in to the continent through South Africa. As we know, we serve as a gateway to the rest of the world. Ourselves as African Fashion International see ourselves as a gateway to that fashion and lifestyle and design, to open markets and to make it accessible for international markets to get hold of our designers.
Africa is famously diverse, and the case can be made that it needs to be united. What role can fashion play to unite the continent?
I think we're seeing a change in the African consumer, who now wants to wear that which is proudly African, but is globally relevant. And that's the beauty of this platform, in that we have managed and we're continuing to raise designers coming from the continent and making them compete on a level playing field with the international fashion houses. Our goal as African Fashion International has always been, how do we support the fashion, clothing and textile industries? And our point of view is that by promoting fashion designers, then we're creating a demand amongst our consumers, because now they understand local fashion and they really buy into it. And they in turn set the trends in stores, in boutiques and in retail shops, where the buyers realize that this is what people want in the street, and they start then ordering from our designers. That is very important, because as we support the designers, they are also able then to employ more people. It really creates work for ordinary people, and also the related industries that work with the fashion industry. Film and fashion go together. Fashion and sport go together. So it becomes one catalyst of a lifestyle brand. And I think this is where we see the interest of government. We've had a lot of support from your Department of Trade and Industry, who see the potential with fashion entrepreneurs. We have an interest with South African tourism that sees that aspect of fashion as a lifestyle brand that communicates African brands and African designs to the world, and therefore that tourism aspect comes in. And we're also seeing a lot of interest with our airlines, who have seen an opportunity to bring designers and models into Africa. There's an interest now. This is the inaugural Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Africa. Mercedes-Benz as a brand, we know globally, is very respected, iconic brand, a lifestyle brand that is also associated with fashion weeks in New York, in Berlin. And now they have looked at Africa and they have identified fashion also as something they want to be associated with.
Dr. Precious, currently the clothing and textile industry is under huge pressure, cheap imports and so on, and fashion is such an important aspect in any economy. What contacts, or what are you doing with your contacts to make sure that this industry thrives and stays on top?
Well, firstly, we have ensured the sustainability of the industry through our development program, what we call Fast Track. We train young designers who've just come out of fashion schools, expose them to the retail side of things, merchandising, marketing themselves, putting together capsule collections so that they can become future legends. The second aspect is that I know that we know that government has been doing a lot in terms of the quota system, looking at how they can create barriers to us being flooded with cheap imports. But you're right, more can still be done in that respect.